Good morning. Today is October 30, 2017. Hope you're well. So we're going to attempt, we're going to attempt to tie this subject together now of service to self versus service to the whole, WHOLE. And it's been maybe a week, because sometimes things just have to our understanding has to develop further before we can put these out and kind of crystallize, I guess, into something that makes sense for anyone who's listening. So the thing that I think I've learned since the last recordings is that underneath it all, beyond appearances and what seems to be, service to self and service to whole are in opposition. And that doesn't mean that there's fighting between them. It just means that they don't blend. They don't, even if for a while it may seem that there's some kind of functioning happening, at some point it is revealed that service to self intends to serve self, always. And when that comes up, we'll put this in practical terms in a moment. When that happens, that's when you can see the truth of it, which is service to whole is cooperation and moving together with a heart understanding that all is well and all will continue to be well as long as the whole functions and cooperates. And that's a desire, we'll say, that is an intention that is in the heart of all of creation, that is in that flow of service to whole. It's just there. It's not a decision that individuals make. It is just a way of existing. So let's see how we can develop this into something more tangible, more understandable as far as the differences. So there'll be a level of cooperation when you have, a mixture of service to whole, service to self functioning to a point. But there's an understanding. We're going to just keep saying in the heart, because it's in the heart. It's an awareness, but not even a conscious awareness, just a true feeling and understanding that service to the whole means that service to self has to not be in the way. Otherwise, the other is not going to be able to do what it needs to do. Or it will be in resistance to it. So within the hearts of those who are connected to the heart of the whole is this awareness that, my personal and selfish desires are going to be put to the side. But also there's the understanding that there's not going to be a satisfaction or fulfillment in receiving for the self the way there is when it's not the same kind of satisfaction. We spoke about this already. So even though we may put aside our personal desires, we also understand that that's okay, because those can only go so far as our enjoyment in life. So it's okay. And so that's what happens. We just realize on a certain level that the benefit to the whole includes me. I'm part of the whole, and I am benefiting and will continue to benefit by being in service to the whole. Service to the self, which we talked about in the recording we did on service to self, is always focused on getting for the personal self, always receiving for this, the self, the individual, and its pursuit of that is greater than anything else. So someone who is in that mode is not going to readily put that to the side. That's part of the way a person functions. That's the way they function, not even part. That is the foundation of how a person functions who exists in service to self mode and mentality. So that's the other thing too, is that service to self is a mental thing, thinking thing, a devising, and a service to whole is a heart thing. And none of that is in there, because the heart is connected to what will provide what's necessary for the enjoyment and the well-being of the whole. And each individual that is in service to the whole is, again, part of that whole, and so will benefit in that way. So for service to self, though, it's like well, let's back up. I'm sorry if this is choppy. So there's trust in the whole when we are in service to the whole. We trust. We don't hope. Hope is like, cross your fingers and let's see what happens. No, we trust. We know that we will be and that we are always taken care of. There's no doubt. It's a faith. It's faith. Like, your, again, heart is assuring you and reassuring you that all is well. And you imagine like a child trusting in her father or her mother, who loves her and who is always protective over her, providing for her. And so when that child is walking in what might be a scary situation, when they have their little hand in their mom's hand or in their dad's hand walking through that, there's a trust that I'm safe. I don't have to worry about how I'm going to protect myself, what I'm going to get out of whatever for myself. Like, there's just complete trust. It has to be complete trust. And so, again, back to service to self, there is no trust in that. It's, every man for himself, including me, and otherwise I might not get mine. And that if I have to step over people, whatever I have to do to make sure that I get what I need, And because I can't trust, or maybe that's a feeling, I won't trust. I do not trust in anything beyond that. So anyway, so that's really important. And doubt is connected with fear. So it's just an entanglement, and that's why we don't have this harsh judgment when we're considering those who live in service to self mode. We don't have this criticism, this harsh judgment against that, because you have to have some kind of compassion for those whose lives are always in a state of doubt and fear, and they don't trust, they don't feel safe enough to let go. So, but we started kind of talking about how, excuse me, I'm screwing around with something right now. We started out talking about how they're in opposition. And, as compassionate as we want to be toward those who are existing this way in service to self mode, we also realize that it's destructive, and it works against the well-being of the whole. So sometimes we may have to kind of just not have so much close interaction with those who are in that mode, and not to judge people in that way, like, oh, you're a bad seed, I can't be around you. We're not judging anybody as bad. We're saying that we're looking at the outcome. We're looking at the energy of it, and if we're interacting with a person who is service to self, even this is a hard pill to swallow right here. So even when they're doing things that seem like it's for the benefit of others, it's still tainted, because if it threatens their service to self, we got to make this more easy to understand. Let's finish that sentence. If it threatens that, then it'll show what it really is. So let's put that in practical terms. Someone may articulate, certain expressions of feeling and compassion and, well-intentions and things. They may say these things, and maybe in their behavior, they're doing things that seem to back that up. Like, oh yeah, if this person didn't feel this way, then they wouldn't do that. They're being motivated by love and this kind of thing. But again, even if it's ever so subtle, people who are in this mode, everything that they're doing, somewhere in that mix, is how is this affecting me personally? And if that ratio, and if the ratio is like, it's not really, it's okay, it's not really a big deal, then they'll go ahead and know. But if it comes between the well-being of the whole, which means love, doing something that's truly loving, which means no conditions, I don't expect anything back. If it's between doing that or okay, I could do that love, no condition thing, but in the end, I'm going to have the short end of the stick. Well, they're not going to do the loving thing because, not because they're an asshole, but because in their own perception of things, they're not going to benefit, and that leaves them vulnerable. That leaves them in a place where they feel threatened that they're not going to get out of the thing what they want to get out of it. Does that make sense? I hope so. We're trying to say this without sounding judgmental, because it's not about morals now. We're not talking about morals and about being good. We're just talking about what drives people to do things. And if I'm a service to self type of personality, and it's in my power, which it is all day, every day, it's in our power to choose to serve the wholer self. If my way of functioning is always self is first and foremost, then that's how it's going to go down when I'm faced with a decision of do something because it's loving, and maybe I won't get my personal satisfaction out of the thing, but in the whole picture, this is the best decision. You see, if that's my decision, if that's my choice, it's going to, you can't get apples from an orange tree. You can't get oranges from an apple tree. And let's just say in those instances where a person will go ahead and say, all right, fine. And they do the thing, again, because they still feel conditional inside. It still isn't, if it's not unconditional, it's not done in love. If there's a speck of resentment against what you're doing because, you feel kind of, I got to do this thing or people are going to think I'm a jerk. And then so someone goes ahead and does the thing, and then that leaves them with the short end of the stick. They're going to have resentment, you see? So it's not about behaviors. It's not about the things that people are doing that prove this or that or the other thing. It is when we do something and our motivation is love, which means we don't possess the love ourselves. We're moving in the flow of love. The love itself, the whole, is going to bless that. And we feel content with that. That's enough. We don't want anything else. We're not looking for anything else. Now, if you're not existing in that mode, that formula is not going to work. You're going to be left in the lurch like, well, damn, I did the thing, and now what did I get out of it? You see? So it doesn't play out the same way. Intention has everything to do with it. You come at a person and say, wow, yeah, you did the thing, but look how much you had to sacrifice. Well, someone who is in that place of, it's okay. It's okay. If they're in a place of service to whole, and they're like, yeah, that's nothing. That's nothing. Because they're already being blessed, and they're not focusing on what could I have gotten from my own personal self out of this. My bus is late. Oh well. So that's the difference, is the feeling of it, and only each of us individually can know what that feeling is. And again, cannot stress this enough, it's not about judgment, it's about growth. And we all are struggling in our own different ways. This existence gives us so many challenges, but they're opportunities to grow. So anyway, hopefully that was understandable. And sometimes it's hard to articulate things that it's hard sometimes, but hopefully we're able to do it. If there's, this has gone pretty long, but if there's any more that comes, then we'll go ahead and fill that in with another recording, but hopefully that did the thing. As always, we want to wish you much love, and thank you so much. Bye.